What is up, people?
Why am I
Everything's all
so
fucked
tiny?
up. I don't know. I don't know what
Oh,
happened. There we
There we
go.
go.
We
No, you should make me like tiny and over in the corner for the whole episode.
like this.
Yeah.
You're just like the peanut gallery down there hanging out.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we'll hear something from you. Man, did you realize it's been over a week since we've done a show?
That week blew by, man. Maybe it's because of the like long holiday and I was up north and stuff and had no service. I was just totally out in the middle of the wilderness. Yeah, that flew by. It's been over a week. I would have thought maybe it's been like a week, but
It's been. I
Was
think
it-
this is the
was
8th
it Monday?
day.
Monday that we did a stream? Monday or Tuesday last week?
I think it was Tuesday last week.
It was a good stream. I remember it being a solid stream.
It was, yeah. In fact, I think this is only the 4th episode we've done in the month of May.
We're busy.
Yeah, we're businessmen, super busy. The last week and a half or so has been, my whole family's gotten this really nasty stomach bug that has knocked us out. Usually if one of us is going to get sick, I'm the one that gets sick, and then East would get sick, and Amy gets sick, but she kind of just has to maintain. It's like you got the man cold, and I think Amy's theory about the man cold is that it's a product of mothers with their sons, and when their sons get sick, it's like, oh, hey, this is the one time that he's not like a rampaging asshole that's trying to destroy everything in the house. So she's like, oh, it's my little boy, my little baby. So mothers coddle their boys when they get sick, and this breeds into them the man cold. I
have a totally different theory.
I reject that. Yes. Well, okay. What's your theory?
My theory is that, like, okay, men when they get sick, it's like an evolutionary process that, like, okay, if all the men get sick, then you're vulnerable to like bears coming and eating everybody.
Yeah.
So the men, if they get sick, they need to lay down, rest, recover as soon as possible to get back to defending against bears and barbarians.
Yes.
That's my theory about why the man cold is so like debilitating for men, and then women will get the exact same cold and they'll just be like kind of under the weather, and it'll drag on for longer. It'll be like 2 weeks long or whatever, but they're still carrying babies on their hips and cleaning and shit, and they just don't really feel good, but they can kind of like troop their way through it. That's my theory about why that is, because like, okay, you got to be able to maintain the home. These guys have to fight bears. It's more important that it's better for you that, you know, lady, that your sickness lasts a little longer, but that you can operate at a slightly higher level. Whereas men, it needs to just wipe them out. They need to rest, recover, get back to bears.
Yes. That actually squares very well with my theory, which was
okay.
It was a little more straightforward. It was just men are the extremes. So men are either like powerful and vitalistic and full of energy and they're the ones that are out conquering, or they're fucking knocked flat completely on their ass. This is just a function of masculinity, is having these extremes, whereas the femininity is more moderated. And so they don't have the as low a lows, but they also don't have as high a highs in terms of vitality.
Now, one might say that my theory is entirely cope, and they might be right, but
that doesn't mean it's not legitimate.
I still choose to subscribe to it. It could be total bullshit.
Yes, but it becomes real as I believe it and live by it.
Right.
Maybe. But yeah, so our family has been down for the count for a little while, and I've had to step up and be Dr. Daddy, taking care of both of them. Yeah, I'm getting in touch with my feminine spirit, and it just so happens.
Dr. Doolittle speaking to animals.
Yeah, right.
Your wife and son.
It just so happens that right as I'm having to really get in touch, like max out my capacity for feminine nurturing, I'm also going like headlong off the deep end into all sorts of like schizo theories about ancient apocalypses and crazy alternative forms of energy and all this other sort of stuff. I don't think that that's a coincidence. You get the feminine dissociation schizophrenic impulse, which is contrasted to the masculine autistic rigid order impulse.
Does that mean my mortal enemy has like a female brain?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, actually.
crypto galaxy brained,
Uh-huh.
world thinking person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
He says.
Your audio's doing that thing again where it like it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's only picking up the peaks and then it cuts out on the lower ends. It changed when you shifted your body position, so maybe you just need to like hover in one spot for a little bit.
I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I'm just turning echo cancellation and noise suppression off, and I guess I'll turn it up. How we sound?
Yeah. I think it might even be a little high. Let's see what the chat says. But
Chat. Let us know. There might be like, you might pick up on like my dryer or some background noise or something now, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a little bit echoey. It's a little harder sound, but I can hear it a lot better than I could before.
Sounding good?
Ryan Isaacs is sounding
I don't talk as much as you do, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm high. No, I'm not. I am. Well, I just put some Zen in.
Yeah, high on Zen.
Yeah. Thinking about making a new intro song. What do you guys think? Make a new banger?
I wonder if that's a it's funny, I was just thinking that while we were listening to the banger. I was like, I wonder if Cooper's gonna make another one. I like it. I think it's great. We've had a lot of compliments on it, but I also like novelty for the sake of novelty, so.
Yeah, that took me like 20 minutes to make. I was just fucking around one day. So I'm thinking I'm about to order some new pedals. A compression pedal and a chorus pedal. So maybe I'll make something real funky, real 1975 like. Real groovy. Get some auto-tune and sing something.
Ryan Isaac says, if you do, add 5 to 10 seconds gap since YouTube always gives me an ad. Do you mean add 5 to 10 seconds gap before it or after it?
Before it, presumably.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do
that. Euthanasia says bangers are too mainstream, should make it mid to be different. That sounds like something Cooper would do.
Yeah, just make the most mediocre, like elevator music, kind of.
Yeah. Glonk says that song is now associated with us in his brain. Maybe an outro song instead. Maybe you just need new brain associations, Glonk. We're gonna help you rewire your brain.
Or maybe I could just build off of the same melody, but with a different genre or a different spin to it.
New and improved.
New and improved. The King Pilled, I think I called it, it's like gaywave.mp3 or something. So it'll be gaywave mark 2.mp3 or .wave. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, gaywave is if you were to join the King Pill Discord, then you would have access to the Gaywave channel where all of the members of the King Pilled are sharing all of the gay shit that they like to listen to, like music wise, because nobody else's music is as good as mine, so I don't even pay attention to theirs.
Ryan Isaac says, extend the intro of the intro. YouTube always gives me an ad and there's no lead up to the beat. It's like, dude, it's just 4 bars of the bass going. It's not interesting.
But he can't get into the of it.
Right.
That's a scientific.
He can't like follow the dynamic. Yeah.
Because you're doing some interesting stuff with the rhythm in that. There's some interesting emphases in the
emphasis.
Yeah. No of it. That's right.
Emphasics says.
Well, so we may get into a little bit of the crazy schizo stuff by the end of the show today. We'll see.
Yeah.
I've got a couple other things I want to get into.
Just log in sooner. Thank you.
Yeah. Shout out Mitchell Chen in the chat. Good friend of the show, Mitchell Chen. I was just talking to him on the phone just a little while ago. So I texted you earlier and I said that I just had like brainwave. So if we get into,
I was busy loading the dishwasher.
Oh, what a great husband you are.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm glad that I didn't call you and disrupt you while you were performing your valuable husbandly chores.
Yeah, I was all like caked in mac and cheese and peanut butter and to spray it off.
You know the sound of like when you move a spoon through mac and cheese?
Yeah. No, it wasn't like that. It was like I had like the steel wool scrubbing that shit.
Euthanasia says he's been waiting for the Sun Doom stream for days now. So that's actually, it's funny you say that, because that's actually what my brainwave was associated with. So there's a tease for you. We might get into it. It might end up having to be a future show, because I've got a couple other things related to the title that I want to get into here. So, and I'll tell you that if we don't talk about it in the show, I'll tell you afterwards what the brainwave is. I think you'll like it. So I like being able to say I told you so. It is feels good. It may be a little too good. A little, the Schadenfreude. Like, here's a question. Like, is Schadenfreude something that you are allowed to enjoy like a little bit as a treat? Or is it like, if you're feeling any Schadenfreude, this is like a negative emotion that you shouldn't entertain? What's your take?
Well, you're judged according to what you do. So if you just kind of keep it inside, maybe you can. It's kind of like when you laugh and like you see like I saw one time at the grocery store a fat person on one of those scooter things kind of fall out. And I knew it was rude to laugh out loud, so I just kind of laughed inside. I think that's okay.
Just appreciating just the natural hilarity that exists in nature.
Speaking of fat people, so I was on my way up north.
Oh, look, Kyle's in the chat.
Oh, look, it's Lyle. I was on my way up north, and we stop at a gas station, so like, the little one and my wife could go inside and like go pee or something like that. And I'm hanging out in the car listening to electric music, as Deacon calls it. And we're vibing.
This is like techno?
Jamming. Like vaporwave and synth wave and stuff like that. He recently has gotten into a little bit of dubstep.
Oh, the oldies.
Yeah. And we're at the gas station in like way out in BFE, and this really big fat hit comes walking out of the gas station up to his lifted truck, and he's like waddling over. I'm like, "Hey, Deacon, look at that fat guy." And it was a moment for me where I actually felt a little bit of shame, because I'm used to just talking shit about everybody, like on the phone with you or hanging out with my buddies, and realizing how pure and innocent like children are. Because he kind of half smiled a little bit, but he's like, "It's mean to say that." I was like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be such an asshole, because I'm just like corrupting this pure little kid. Now he's gonna go around start
out of the mouths of babes.
Yeah, another thing. I need to get my mouth under control, because later on in the weekend there was a point where Deacon, so let's see, he's 6, and he's running around the campground, and he's got his hand, he's squeezing his Peter, as we call it, because he has to pee really bad. He's trying to hold it in. And I'm kind of just like, I'm just whatever. I'm not thinking too hard about it. And I look over and I'm like, dude, stop grabbing your dick. And, my wife punches me. She's like, what are you doing? And then later, like 30 minutes later, he's running around telling people to suck his dick. Like, I'm so horrible. I'm a horrible influence.
Oh, man. Your wife's got to be just thrilled. This is part of the masculine.
Yeah, right. The curse of Eve is she has to put up with me.
That's why women are always grasping for the throne, because they're like this fucking incompetent retard.
Yeah, just cringe. Yeah. They have to hide their face in shame because you're out in public and you're making dick jokes or whatever.
Eastwood is like the most stubborn person on the planet. Well, actually, he's the second most stubborn person, because the first is his mother. So he has refused to be potty trained for, just not interested. Refuses. He will let his own bladder explode and kill him before he'll use the bathroom. And he's 3.5, so it's kind of, he's getting a little old, for that. And Amy's just been like, how do I get through to him? Like, what could I possibly do to get him to just use the toilet? And she finally started getting a little bit of a breakthrough with him. And then she introduced to him the concept of peeing outside in the backyard.
No, that's all he wants to do.
Oh, he says, Daddy, I pee outside now. Like
Yeah,
this isn't like, oh, I do this when it's available to me. It's like the default now is I go pee outside.
I don't know
So-
what it is, man. The masculine urge to piss outside. Like,
Yeah.
I still get that to this day. Like, I remember being a little kid, but I still get that to this day where I'm just like, oh no, I want to go outside and piss.
Yeah, right. I don't know. There's just something that's freeing about it. So every single morning he gets up and he goes to the back door, pulls his pants all the way off, and just goes out full Pooh Bear and goes and stands on the back porch. And we have like a railing with slats in it.
Yeah, right.
And he leans up to it and he pushes his belly forward and he stands there and he just fountains right off the back porch. Amy will send me a picture of him. He's just him there, full Pooh Bear, just doo-dee-doo-dee-doo.
I actually got into like an actual pissing match for the first time in my life with my in-laws' dog up north this weekend.
Diesel.
Yeah, Diesel is the dumbest dog on the planet. But in any case, so we're up at the property, and I'm like the first one up. It's like 6 a.m. Sun's just coming up, and I have my coffee and my smoke. And then I walk over to the edge of the property to go piss in the woods. And then Diesel runs up really quick, and he has to go spray on the tree. He comes up and he pisses, and then I'm like, huh. So I walk over to the other side of the property, and I go piss over there, and he comes sprinting over, and he pisses. Because I know he's got to piss there, not me. And I did that like 4 times.
Before you ran out.
Before I ran out. But he could have probably kept going all day.
Oh, yeah. I've gone for like 3-hour walks with my dog before, and he stops like every 50 or 100 feet and pees on something. And I'm like, dude, how do you have anything left?
Yeah,
We've been walking for 3 hours. You have pissed like 78 times. How is there anything? And he'll just keep doing it until pretty soon he's like standing there. He raises his leg, nothing comes out. And then he trots along. And then he goes and raises his leg, nothing comes out. Oh, man. So, what were we? How did we get? Schadenfreude. So,
Oh, yeah.
I've got a couple things that I have to indulge in a little Schadenfreude here. So, first of all, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, Teflon Don. He went to the Libertarian Party convention, which I mean, I gotta tip my hat to him. They managed to convince him that it was in his interest to come and pitch himself to the Libertarians. And we're going to play some of the clips, some of his one-liners from it. It was just, the dude is in his element. He's one of these, what are the comics, like insult comics, I guess, would maybe be kind of the variety. The ones that they get off on pissing the audience off. Like the more rowdy, the more they get booed, the more the crowd seems to dislike them, the more they get into it. And I saw a clip on Twitter of, I don't know when this was, but it was Sam Hyde doing stand-up in like Berkeley or something like that. And he's making a bunch of really bad jokes about Michael Brown and I Can't Breathe and stuff. And all the people are getting really pissed off at him. But I guess Norm Macdonald would do that sometimes too. Like what was the roast where Norm was it was what's his name? Bob Saget, the roast of Bob Saget. Norm Macdonald went and intentionally bombed for 8 minutes. And it is absolutely fantastic. The people up on the stage are like, what is happening? Like, why is he's telling the worst jokes that are not even, they're almost funny because they're so bad, but it's like, but he's delivering them with like complete seriousness. It's so fantastic. But this is Trump. Trump is like, he's in his element. Everyone's booing him, and he's like, ha ha ha, look at this. But before we talk about Trump here, I wanted to share this video of Dave Smith because I need to tip my hat to Dave Smith here. Let's get this a little bit bigger. So this was him. This is before Trump comes out. You can see President Trump expected to speak at 8 p.m. he came up, and this is the little speech he gave. I'll speed this up a little bit. Sorry to those of you who are listening on 2x speed. Hopefully you can manage whatever 2x times 1.5 is.
What's up, Josh Ham?
How's it going, Josh Ham? Good to see you, buddy.
You know what? Okay, listen. There's broadly speaking, I think, two groups of people here. Okay? No, I'm serious. There are members of the Libertarian Party, and there are people who came here to support Donald Trump. Listen, I want...
Notice the difference. You notice the difference of the you could tell with the majority, or at least the most energy in the room, where that's coming from.
I have a message for both of you individually. I hear you. To the members of the Libertarian Party, which I am also one. Guys, listen, here's my message to the Libertarians here. The former President of the United States of America and the current frontrunner to be the next president is here to talk to you. We are not a bunch of college leftist sissies. We believe in free speech. So be respectful. I'm not telling you have to agree with him, and I'm not telling you have to cheer for him. But we're not having like Jordan Peterson at Berkeley event here. And the message we're sending to the world is not that we can't handle ideas that we disagree with. We are libertarians. We are constantly surrounded by ideas that we disagree with. We're in Washington, D.C., for God's sake. And here's my message to the Donald Trump supporters who are here. You came to the Libertarian Party National Convention, and we're libertarians around these parts. So let me tell you a little bit about what we believe in case you're not sure. Here's what we believe. Donald Trump, as President of the United States of America, was framed for treason by his own deep state. And those people belong in jail. It is an absolute crime against our nation that the intelligence agencies that supposedly work for the president would dare frame a presidential candidate. But they crossed a whole nother line when they framed the sitting commander-in-chief, and not one of them has paid for that. And that is unacceptable. Around these parts, we are truly America first. We believe in no foreign adventurism. We are strict non-interventionists. The proxy wars of choice following 20 years of disastrous terror wars in Ukraine and in Israel are absolutely inexcusable, and America should have no part of either of them. We are $34 trillion in debt.
All right.
You know
So-
what?
Oh, shut up. Okay. So I wanted to play that whole thing because, first of all,
Guys, don't embarrass me for like 20 minutes.
please, can you
Stop
guys
being-
just be not retarded for just a brief moment in time?
Please don't be gay.
And I like so. Leaving aside, Dave and I have obviously had our disagreements in the past, and still have our disagreements. And leaving aside all the debate about libertarianism and whether or not it's gay or whether it has a political future, leaving aside all of that, Dave being in the position that he is, Dave is having to navigate a really awkward spot here because it's now been publicly acknowledged. Yes, he was supposed to be the candidate for president. And if he was the candidate, the LP nominee for president, if he would have gotten it, like no questions asked, very easily. It would have been a shoo-in for him. But he still has this position as like essentially the mouthpiece for right-wing libertarians. He's probably has the biggest platform, the biggest reach of any of them. And this is what I said.
He's their de facto leader, basically.
Yes.
He is the Libertarian Party, essentially.
And he, you can tell he recognizes his responsibility there. He can't just peace out on this. He can't just dip out. There would be massive consequences to that, and it would be honestly like he has his character on the line here, his honesty, his character, and everything. I said few people have had as stratospheric of a rise in the last few years as Dave. 3 years ago, he was arguing with me. Now he's opening for the MFing president. Like that's. Just in its own right, if you would have said 3 or 4 years ago that Trump is going to be at the LP convention and Dave is going to be opening for him, like that would be pretty freaking significant. This was unthought of that something like this could happen. So just on a personal individual level, I think what Dave has accomplished is fantastic. I think he has to walk this really difficult line where he has to maintain his status, his leadership role, and he's doing basically the best thing that you could do here, which is, look, there's obviously plenty of reasons why we can disagree and fight and have nothing productive come of this, but at the very least, can we experience some sort of commonality? Can we figure out where we agree? Can we build some type of a coalition that can influence anything that we both care about? Because there's a lot of things that we both care about. Fundamentally, there's disagreements and all of that, but there's a lot of things we both care about. So how can we navigate that? He's going out, he's putting his face, he's putting his reputation on the line, trying to do that. And I've got a lot of respect for him. I think it's really impressive how he's built himself up to this point with his career, to the point where he's actually becoming a legitimate mover and shaker. He was just on Tucker Carlson. He's actually
which was a good
making
interview.
an impact. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's on my list. I've been too busy with schizo streams. So that was the first thing I wanted to say, because I do have a lot of respect for Dave. I think he and I have had our disagreements, but I think that what he's done has been really good, and I recognize the line he has to walk, and that's a difficult line to walk. That's what did I say here? I said he's got a hell of a gift, and I respect the hell out of him. He's got to walk a pretty thin line, and he's keeping it up masterfully. So I think he deserves his platform. He deserves the influence that he has.
CRX says, LOL, remember that couple-week war you had with Ace Talmudarkis and his guys? I remember that.
Oh, man. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I just...
The Ace is a dweeb?
Yeah, right. There came a time where I realized, like, the joke is on me. If I'm the one who keeps going back and getting sucked into these incredibly gay debates, like, I'm owning myself. Was it that libertarians are really good at self-ownership? I was self-owning pretty good. So then here's this. Look at this fucking picture. Look at Trump's face. This is him standing up there. And this guy, Libertarian Party of Florida, is like, ha ha ha. Donald Trump looks mystified. Like, imagine fucking tagging Trump. Donald Trump looks mystified that a room full of passionate libertarians booed him when he asked for our votes and endorsement. What an amazing convention. And I'm like, this is how I looked when I looked out into the backyard last week and saw Eastwood trying to pee on our dog. I'm like, dude, seriously? Like, that you would highlight this and think this is anything other than, like how did I wind up with these absolute children? How did I end up here? Freeze frame. So then we'll watch this clip here in a second, but Trump just bodied the nerds booing him at the Libertarian convention. Quote, maybe you don't want to win. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years. And I said that, you remember this guy here, the guy, the big ginger who got naked and danced at the LP convention in 2016. I said getting bodied by an orange man at the LP convention has become libertarian tradition. So let's see here. Let's switch over to, hold on, I got to find this. Here it is. So I found a thread that has a bunch of these clips. And unfortunately, we have to give some views to Aaron Rupar, which is one of these insufferable Twitter shitlib blue check guys. So here's Trump coming out and getting booed. Then
Ryan Isaac says, is that Oliver Anthony? The fat ginger?
Yeah. This was him making his first appearance on the global stage. Here's another clip of Trump.
A lot of people ask why I came to speak at this Libertarian convention, and it's an interesting question, isn't it? But we're gonna have a lot of fun. The last year I've been indicted by the government on 91 different things. So if I wasn't a libertarian before, I sure as hell am a libertarian now. And unlike Joe Biden, I don't throw people in jail for disagreeing with me. I don't do that.
Imagine just like being so lacking in self-awareness that you would boo something like that. Okay, so here's another good one.
I'd also like to express my gratitude to all the fierce champions of freedom in this room. You are champions of freedom. You are indeed. And I'm here to talk to you about the rise of left-wing fascism in the country and to need to defeat the corrupt and incompetent tyrant in the White House, crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States. He is the worst president by far in the history of the United States. In fact, I would say that Jimmy Carter is very happy tonight because he goes down as being a brilliant president by comparison.
Okay, now this was really good.
Everyone here tonight believes that we must fight for the same fundamental freedoms: freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of the right to own a firearm, and freedom over taxation. Oh, that was interesting. Then you're going to like me, firearm, you're going to like me. Nobody better than me. And we just got the full NRA, the strongest endorsement they've ever given the NRA, so that's good. Freedom from over-regulation.
There's something about listening to him talk that's just, it's like, I don't know if this is a compliment or not to him, but it's like the perfect background noise. Just sit and listen to him just kind of meander his way through his different points. And every once in a while he says something funny and it's just like, I don't know, it's just like listening to your goofy old uncle talking or something.
And freedoms have never been more in danger than they are right now. That is why I have come to extend a hand of friendship to ask for your partnership to defeat communism, defeat Marxism, and defeat crooked Joe Biden, who is destroying our country. He's destroying our country.
Okay, so Libertarian. Here we go.
That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years. The reasons for doing so.
So I love it that Trump shows up to the Libertarians, the guy who's the presumptive next president, shows up to Libertarians and says, I think you guys need to be winners. And they go, boo! It's, I think that was I said the exact same thing here. This is another funny one.
Repealed the so-called guidance letter that turned on-campus sexual harassment accusations into de facto criminal convictions. You know all about that. Who else would do that for you?
Accusations of sexual misconduct with Libertarians. You know all about that. So it's interesting to me that he clearly doesn't have a high opinion of them coming in. You could tell he's just like, all right, I'm going to go do this. This is necessary to do this. I think it seems pretty clear to me that someone's like, you should go do this. I had my guesses as to who that someone would be, but someone urged him to go do this. And he's kind of like, he's trying to make the best out of it. But he's like, this crowd is full of fucking retards. Like, I'm the president. I'm effectively the president coming to tell them all of the things I'm going to get them. Did you see that he promised that that he would pardon Ross Ulbricht on his first day in office? That alone would be like a magnificent accomplishment. You just got a president, a presumptive nominee for president, who's coming to you and saying, I will pardon this guy, this who's like your patron saint. I will pardon him. And all they can do is just boo him. It's the most. Where did I hear this recently? Someone recently said this, and I thought it was funny. They said, I think it was Jose El Nino on Pete Quinones' show. He said that libertarians really, like, when you listen to them, even when they talk about economics, they often just sound like, I think he said they sound like retarded Marxists. Because, like, at least the Marxists understand the game. At least they know how to win, how to climb the scaffolding of power. Whereas the libertarians are just the ultimate crabs in a bucket.
Well, it reminds me of one of Andrew, Popular Liberty, our good buddy Andrew. One of his points about, the libertarian critique of Marxism is that it's zero sum.
Mm-hmm.
Their economic system is zero sum. And that doesn't make any sense. But if you see capital as being a proxy for power, and you realize that power is zero sum, then Marxism makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And that's why they're so successful.
And of course, libertarians have no room for that. They can't. They just can't comprehend that. It's like being blind to power. They're power blind, which is funny because at the same time they also see it everywhere. They see themselves, libertarians see themselves as being imposed upon by the world at all fronts. So somehow they can sense when they don't have power, but they have no concept of what power is or what role it plays, how to access it, how to accumulate it, how to use it ethically, any of this stuff.
Kyle says, LOL, Dave in the back resisting the urge to swallow a knife. Yeah, dude, imagine how Dave is like, he's probably sitting back there pulling his hair out like, you fucking idiots, 20 minutes. That's all I wanted. Just don't be assholes for 20 minutes.
Nope, can't do it. No can do.
That's quite the ask.
So one other interesting thing that I thought I had this clip saved. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Because this will segue us into here we go. This will segue us into our next subject. Where, actually, before we go into that, the one thing the thing that libertarians did accomplish this past week was they elected a nominee for president who is a gay man who is a well-known BLM activist.
It would have been awesome if all the Trump supporters in that crowd just beat up all the lowbirds.
just a brawl.
They would win.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't even be close. And the libertarians would be standing there yelling about aggression. It would be like a perfect parable of libertarians in reality at large. Cable says power is like a really bad food allergy to libertarians. Yeah.
Might makes rights, as the famed philosopher Mr. Cable said once.
That's one to write on the inside of your eyelids. Might makes rights. Ryan Isaac says the libertarians' leader is a reflection of their internal processes. Super gay. Right. So after all of this, after all the whole LPMC thing, we're going to execute the takeover. We're going to have the base libertarian party. We're pushing all our chips in. And what they wind up with is gay BLM presidential candidate.
Yeah, so anybody who was talking shit about the post-libertarians a couple of years ago, and we told you this is exactly what was going to happen, you're welcome to come hang out with us now. No hard feelings.
Right.
After you wasted all of your money and time and energy, accomplishing the gay guy. You've got a sodomite for president. Yay.
Yes. And I can hear someone might say, well, it's because Dave bailed on us. And I will just go back and say, who predicted that Dave was not going to follow through? Because he couldn't. There was no possible way that he could follow through on that. It just was not going to be feasible. I wouldn't have done it if I was him. Can you imagine the personal stakes that would have required of him and his family? It would have been downright, like, preposterously irresponsible for Dave to actually try to run for president like that. And even if he was to try to run for president, it would have just it would have accelerated the destruction of the Libertarian Party as a political vehicle. All of this was super predictable 3 or 4 years ago. You just had to, it's like power is a language. Political power is a language that you have to learn to speak. And once you know how to speak that language, you can read it. You can read the tea leaves. It's not like you have to become super specially enlightened and become a prophet or anything. You just recognize the patterns and you can map out these trajectories, and it's very clear where things were headed. And that's exactly where it's wound up.
Yeah, imagine, dude, that, you have this massive plan to do this takeover, this political party, and you're putting all your base guys in, and you're spending a bunch of time and money, and then this all, like, culminates in some, like, limp-wristed twink as your nominee. Like, wow, good job, guys.
And you know what's really, really funny about this is, in effect, if anything, this will just help Trump.
Weren't you briefly associated with the Mises Caucus way back at the beginning?
I was part of the initial leadership team. Essentially, there was a group of several of us who were involved in I was the last of that group that was brought in, but there was a group of us who were beginning to plan out this idea of the LPMC and the takeover and all of that sort of thing. And I got partway into it and then just got really disenfranchised by it because I started visualizing myself going out and, like, knocking on people's doors and trying to convince them to vote Libertarian. And I was like, wait a second, because I'm like an anarchist at the time. I'm like, wait a second, I'm running the risk of going out and hear me as an anarchist and running the risk of going out and taking someone who isn't voting and convincing them to get themselves involved in the very political system that I believe I want to undermine and destroy. This doesn't make any sense to me. And that was kind of that was like the point where, like, my brain fractured and I basically just ghosted him. I just dropped out completely, which in hindsight, it probably would have been better to just be like, hey, I don't believe in this anymore. And I'm just going to peace out. But yeah, so I'm not just some, like, bystander yelling about the LPMC. Like, the whole time I was talking about it, I was very intimately familiar with all the people involved in it and the conceiving of it and all that sort of thing.
Taylor makes an interesting point, or he just mentions kind of in passing here, the Lolbert to NRX pipeline is real. I remember being like the Lolbert anarchist type and being like, oh no, that pipeline, that's totally not real. And now having come out the other side of it, I'm like, yeah, that's totally real.
Oh yeah, it's totally real. Which I think, so it's interesting, you've got Vivek who's openly saying that we need a libertarian nationalist alliance. And I see people doing their usual, the people who pearl clutch about Vivek are stupid, we don't need libertarians. What he's doing is he's trying to formalize that pipeline.
Interesting that he says nationalist, like he's openly saying nationalism.
Yeah, right. We're nationalists and we need a libertarian nationalist pipeline.
That's the useful thing about having the brown dude be your mouthpiece, is he can get away with saying these things.
Right. It's very clear that, like, when I say I think someone influenced him to go do this, I think it's Vivek.
Yeah.
Or whoever Vivek is affiliated with. They're the ones who clearly are leaning on him in this direction. And I think the reason for this is because clearly this pipeline exists. And they want to cultivate it. They want to keep that pipeline flowing. You can have all whatever black-pilled conspiracy, there's containment, whatever. Fuck off. I don't have any interest in talking to you.
Random username says the most wild part of the story is Dave tossing his friend Joshua Smith, podcaster with like 5 kids, good on policy, no scandal, under the bus for some random deep state J who used to be a communist. Josh Smith has been kind of on an interesting arc as of late.
Yeah.
I haven't checked in on him recently, but last I knew he was talking about orthodoxy and stuff. I'm like, that's a guy to keep your eye on.
Mm-hmm. And he's a father with many children, and very clearly seems to have a good relationship with them. I've never had an issue with Josh. I've always thought he's a cool guy. I don't really know the ins and outs of everything that happened with that. I can say that if I put myself in Dave's shoes and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for a different candidate other than myself who is actually has a chance to do something significant. Nothing against Josh. I'm probably going to pick the middle-aged academic guy. Like he just
Michael
is someone
Reckenwald. At least he seems like a serious, seems
Right.
very serious and professional. Not a great public speaker though.
No. Yeah, I mean, and it's like, so I think, I don't know if Dave did Josh dirty or if he didn't, and it's just a, tempest in a teapot. I don't know. I haven't been close enough to really be able to weigh in on the details of it, but I think if anything, it seems like maybe Dave just made a business decision, and it's politics. It is what it is. So this is the other very interesting thing that came out of this which will segue us into. So that was our I told you so Schadenfreude moment with the LPMC. We're gonna have another one here in a minute. It's not gonna be Schadenfreude so much as just an I told you so. So Donald Trump says, "I will ensure the future of crypto and Bitcoin will be made in the USA. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders." Check this out.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will ensure.
So that's fairly significant. And of course, it's so what's interesting is you have this him presenting this among all of these people, and you get the immediate gut responses. Everyone's boo, boo, boo. But I guarantee you there was plenty of people who were there at that convention that were like, well, okay, now hold on a second. Now you're speaking our language. Now, these sorts of things start to make it, he could do lots and lots of bad things, but if he does a couple of these really good things that establish precedents, that alone, this right here, is going to amass him massive support. And like Glonk says, this is all Vivek here. Yeah, very clearly. A random username says, Bitcoin will be made. Dude just doesn't get it. Yeah, Donald Trump has no fucking clue what a central bank digital currency is. He's been told by his advisors, say this. And I'm sure they've given him some, like, he if he was to explain it, if someone was like to pin him down and like try to get him to explain it, he would probably be able to, like, if you listen to him, he'd be like, okay, someone's talked to him about this. And he kind of gets it, but he's also like a boomer and he's Donald Trump. So he doesn't really get it. But this is like shockwave stuff. This is the sort of thing that's going to turn a lot of people who otherwise might be sort of politically ambivalent. And what you're doing is you're accessing people who are incredibly rabid one-issue voters, which is a pretty brilliant political strategy. Moral Meerkat says, "What is Bitcoin?" I'm sure this must be a. I don't know if this is a rhetorical question or what. Jeremy so someone said something about Jeremy Kauffman here. Taylor said, "I'm somewhat interested to see Jeremy Kauffman, one of the stronger voices of the Free State Project in New Hampshire, hop on the Trump train as quickly as he did."
I'm not surprised by that at all.
No, he's been getting pretty good with the shit posts lately, where you could see he's pushing some boundaries, which is kind of interesting considering some things about him personally. He says, Jeremy got burnt by the Free State Project leadership, so could just be sour grapes, but he was happy to abandon the LP to endorse Trump. Not sure if he has as much sway as Dave, but seems intriguing. Yeah, I mean, what you're seeing is the people who are the real big personalities within the libertarian adjacent communities. They're coming around. They're slower, but they're coming around. Which goes back to I'm with Charles Haywood that Trump is the next president, barring just something catastrophically unprecedented. There's just no way. He's not going to be. And I don't care if he winds up in jail or not. If he winds up in jail, I think it's even more likely. So, on that note...
Oh, hey, Colin.
Hey, it's Colin Noir. Hopping into our chat.
Where's your brother, Josuton Timberlake?
Josuton Timberlake. Oh, this is interesting. I just saw a... I gotta bookmark this to watch it later. It's a 18-minute little podcast here embedded on YouTube, but it says Trump is reportedly considering Bitcoin as a tool to fix the U.S.'s $35 trillion national debt problem. Is it 35 trillion now? I've heard 34 trillion for a while, but before that it was 31 trillion. And
dude, it could be a 1,000 trillion at this point. Like you get to a certain level, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. Like
it's all
numbers
fake.
Don't make any sense. Yeah,
it's just fake and gay. Gorillion is like the Gorilla Channel currency. So it says David Bailey is spearheading the effort for his administration to have a robust BTC framework, maybe even a formal BTC treasury policy. That's very interesting. I'm gonna keep track of this. So let me get back to my bookmarks here for this next subject. So, first of all, I had a couple of funny things that I wanted to play, so we can have a little intermission with some laughs. Jeez, I bookmarked way too much stuff.
I almost swallowed my Zen.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's a good way to spend the evening vomiting.
Yeah. Okay, so something to tickle you. So there's this tweet that's been going on. This person's got to be making fucking bank off of Twitter this week. Astral Wings. Name something that's forever funny no matter how many times it's repeated. I have never seen this. One tweet just keeps showing up. All my entire Twitter timeline on both Twitter accounts is just littered with people reacting to this. 37,000 bookmarks. Holy shit, it's got over 500 million views. This person has made a lot of money from Twitter. So here you go. This is a transgender woman duets with Aboriginal elders.
You are my sister, and I love you. May all of your
It's a good singer.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
True.
Are they human?
Oh, John says, "Make it stop."
That tranny's a good singer. I'll give it to them.
Oh man, imagine having to sit there and fucking look at this. Look at this. Look at the tranny's face. Sitting there like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Do you think you could sing like that, Matt?
Oh, look at his face. This is like, first of all, this looks like what's his name? Robert California from The Office. What's the actor's name?
Kyle says the Aboriginals aren't singing; they're trying to exercise this fucking goblin on the piano. We're making the dogs bark again. Sorry, John.
Oh man.
Oh, I'm sweating.
Me too. Okay. So there was that one, and then I thought I had one other funny one.
Can you sing to me again?
Oh man, I fucking dumped my Zins all over.
Oh man, if you and I ever get like successful or famous, this video is gonna come back to haunt us.
Better make sure we don't ever get successful or famous then.
That's right, or if we do, we better like become emperor real quick.
Delete it from the internet. Trying to figure out why this little it's from my window over there. I was like, whoa, there's a triangle behind me all of a sudden. It's all the schizo streams that I've been listening to. Okay, here. Let's give you one other one here for a palate cleanser, and then we'll get on to our next subject. So the caption on this one was it was a quote tweet. Men just don't do 3 to 4 part harmonies with their boys like they used to. All right, there you go. Feel better?
Cornbread.
So we have got ourselves an interesting little piece of news that broke. Share my screen here. This just dropped today on window. On the Wall Street Journal. Inside Donald Trump and Elon Musk's growing alliance. Donald Trump is weighing an advisory role for the Tesla leader in the event the former president reclaims the White House. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have discussed a possible advisory role for the Tesla leader should the presumptive Republican nominee reclaim the White House. The latest sign that the once frosty relationship between the two men has thawed. Remind me not to drink sparkling water just before I try to talk a bunch. The role hasn't been fully hammered out and might not happen, people familiar with the talk said, but the two men discussed ways to give Musk formal input and influence over policies related to border security and the economy, both issues on which Musk has grown more vocal. Musk, along with the billionaire investor Nelson Peltz, has also briefed Trump on a plan they have developed to invest in a data-driven project to prevent voter fraud, according to some of the people. Peltz and Musk also told Trump of an influence campaign in elite circles that is already underway, in which Musk and his political allies host gatherings of powerful business leaders across the country to try to convince them not to support President Biden's re-election campaign. Let me read that one more time. Peltz and Musk also told Trump of an influence campaign in elite circles that is already underway, in which Musk and his political allies host gatherings of powerful business leaders across the country to try to convince them not to support President Biden's re-election campaign. Who told you guys this was happening? This is the whole PayPal mafia premise was that something like this was going on. It was very clear once you knew which tea leaves to read. It was very clear what the tea leaves were saying. They were saying that the sentiment among a significant faction of the elites has swung completely against Joe Biden, and they are campaigning, trying to turn all of the institutional weight against Biden. This is it again. I told you so. It's not Schadenfreude so much as this is very gratifying to get this. I told you so. I had a few different people tag me in this, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you for hitting me up because this is really cool. Something has happened with the comments on the side here, and it's just cutting them off. They're not wrapping properly, so I can't actually see all of everyone's comments anymore. So apologies for that. Okay, good. Let me know if there's any good ones to highlight. Okay, so let's continue here. As recently as 2 years ago, Trump and Musk were publicly trading insults. But in recent months, the two men are developing a friendly rapport and talk on the phone several times a month as the election nears, the people familiar with their talk said. The pair have held discussions on immigration, technology, and science, including the U.S. Space Force. Their
I
views
hate when reporters do that, where their source is like, according to people familiar with this.
Uh-huh.
Really?
And there's like there's
That's your
actual
source?
conventions here where like there's specific terminology that's supposed to be used for people that are in a particular relationship to the person they're talking about. There's actually, it's not just like something that they've made up. There's actual specific terminology they're supposed to use. I guess you learned this in gay school.
Right.
Their views and interests have grown more aligned, the people said, with Musk calling Trump directly on his cell phone. Now, remember the conversation that Musk had with Don Lemon? And Don Lemon was pressing Elon on his meeting that he had with Trump in Florida. And Elon got uncomfortable and clearly did not want to have that conversation. He was like, no, it was like, whatever. We were there having breakfast, and Trump showed up, and we just sort of maybe had a conversation or something like that. We'll keep reading. Trump has told Musk, one of the world's wealthiest people, he wants to find a way to get him more involved if he wins in November. Musk, who has a long history of flouting convention in the business world, has signaled he isn't interested in simply writing a check to a super PAC, which can accept unlimited amounts of money from donors and is a popular way for the billionaire class to support candidates. Instead, he has elected to use his clout in elite business and technology circles to help defeat Biden by galvanizing the support of influential allies.
Josh Hammond has a pretty banger comment here.
Okay, let me find it.
2,000 years of culture and Christianity showcasing a piano and harmony versus throat warbler with a stick. Liberal democracy, totes same.
Throat warbler and stick. Oh man. If I show that video to my son, he's gonna find two sticks and start running around like whacking them together. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's probably he'd probably think like like a week ago or whatever he was being a gorilla and wanting to fight like a gorilla all the time.
Uh-huh.
He'd probably just like assume it's an extension of that. Like, oh, gorillas also slap sticks together
and sing. Oh, I just had a really bad idea. Oh man.
Oh man.
My wife's
I just
gonna
had a
kill
really
me.
good idea. You could paint him up in a certain color. Give him some sticks.
Have me wear a wig and sit at a piano and play a song for my gorilla friend.
That's a great skit. I'll have to add that to my schizo stream.
Uh-huh. Is it just so I know for future reference, is this schizo stream is this schizo stream itself a bit? Do we have a meta bit here?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Nothing can be serious.
Right. Musk is motivated by anxieties over the direction of the country, according to a person familiar with his thinking. Among other things, Musk has railed against what he calls the woke mind virus, a catch-all for liberal policies, including diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that conservatives say create divisions. Isn't it interesting? Like, we've highlighted this before, but this is really kind of a fairly neutral presentation of this idea. They've really, really dialed back the histrionics on a lot of this stuff. Like you could still tell the clear bias of the author, but they're, I don't know, a year or two ago, this would have said something like he's railed against what he calls the woke mind virus, a catchphrase associated with Nazis and white supremacists that says that all beautiful, fluffy, wonderful things in the world are evil and terrible and they want to destroy everyone. Like it would have been, now it's just kind of like, yeah, this is, they're almost presenting it as, yeah, there could be a debate. Musk didn't respond to requests for comment. The former president, for his part, is impressed with Musk's wealth and has embraced the rightward turn of the Tesla CEO's politics. Musk has said his politics are fairly moderate and donated smaller amounts to Democrats and Republicans in past years, according to Federal Election Commission filings. His politics publicly shifted in May of 2022 when he tweeted that he would vote Republican because Democrats had, quote, become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer support them. Brian Hughes, a spokesman of the Trump campaign, said President Trump will be the only voice of what role an individual plays in his presidency. Doing and saying exactly the things he should be doing and saying. So here you go. So remember that conversation Elon Musk had with Don Lemon. Palm Beach meetup. The discussion around the advisory role and voting project took place at a March gathering at Mont Sorrel, Peltz's sprawling oceanfront estate in Palm Beach, Florida, with a group of wealthy and powerful friends, some of the people familiar with the discussion said. The New York Times earlier reported the meeting had occurred, but details of the discussions haven't been previously disclosed. As guests nibbled on a Sunday morning breakfast of eggs, bacon, and fresh fruit served by Peltz's household staff, I wonder how these conversations go. Like some source is coming and giving them this story, and they're like, "Okay, now you said that they were eating. Okay, so what was on the menu that day? It was eggs. Okay, eggs and bacon and fresh fruit as well. Oh wow, okay, they're in Florida and they're eating fresh fruit. Wow, okay. So go on. I don't understand how these how does a detail like that get in here?
Just make it up.
Yeah. So at this, as they nibbled on this breakfast, Peltz, Trump, and Musk held forth on the November elections, criticizing Biden's stewardship of the country, the people said. It was a family affair. Musk and his young son, X, who often joins him at events, were part of a group that also included Trump and his 18-year-old son, Barron. Wow, this is getting very interesting. Musk and Peltz know each other in part through Peltz's son, Diesel, a tech entrepreneur who is friendly with Musk. Diesel Peltz was at the breakfast as well. The potential administration
all over everything,
eating his own shit and rolling around in it,
drinking shit water.
The potential administration advisory gig for Musk would likely be in the mold of the role previously held by Isaac Perlmutter. There's a hell of a name. Isaac Perlmutter, the former Marvel chairman and confidant to both Peltz and Trump, one of the people said. During the Trump presidency, Perlmutter was positioned at the Department of Veterans Affairs in an advisory capacity, along with two other members of Trump's Mar-a-Lago compound in Florida, a Palm Beach doctor and an attorney. The three spoke to the agency's staff and weighed in on a range of matters, including budgets, mental health initiatives, software procurement, and overhauling the VA's record-keeping systems. Musk served on White House business advisory groups during Trump's term as president, but resigned from them in 2017 after disagreeing with Trump's decision to pull the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. Trump made billionaire investor Carl Icahn. I don't even know if that's how you actually pronounce his last name because I've never actually heard it said. I've just read it. An old business acquaintance, a special advisor to the president on overhauling federal regulations in 2016. The position wasn't an official government job, meaning he didn't get paid but didn't have to give up his business dealings. He resigned from the post less than a year later after drawing criticism for conflicts of interest. He's kept a distance from Trump since then. Musk and Peltz have told acquaintances they were working on a data-driven project to ensure votes are fairly counted, echoing Trump's accusations of widespread fraud in the 2020 election. Trump's own Attorney General, Bill Barr, has rejected those claims about the 2020 election, and his campaign and allies lost dozens of lawsuits challenging the results. Musk and Peltz described the initiative to Trump in the March meeting, according to a person familiar with that discussion. More details about the anti-fraud effort couldn't be learned. This tells me something very interesting. So someone with knowledge of what was going on there is intentionally leaking this to the Wall Street Journal. For whatever reason, they want this information out there. Apparently, they leaked all the way down to the details of what they were eating, but they didn't give any information about this initiative. And I could guarantee you the people writing this piece would have been drooling over the possibility of getting that info. So this tells me this isn't I guess an absolute proof, but this indicates to me that this being leaked is and it's being leaked intentionally.
Apparently, we got some people coming over from Mr. Westford's channel again.
Oh, sweet.
Hello, Mr. Westford, or people
Yes.
from his channel. Shout out to that guy again.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank
We'll
you,
have
man.
to
I
check him
appreciate
out. We should invite him on. I don't know who he
Yes.
is, but he'll just come hang out.
Yeah, someone who knows, hit us up on the Discord or whoever, and
Put us in touch with Mr. Westford.
yes. So there was something else in here that I wanted to highlight. They're talking about electric vehicle subsidies. Musk wants Trump to post more actively on X. Trump wants to protect his Truth Social platform. In conversations with people close to Trump, Musk has been non-committal on an endorsement, people familiar with the discussion said. Publicly, Musk has made clear his displeasure with Biden, but has stopped short of endorsing Trump for obvious reasons. Okay, here we go. Musk plans to continue organizing for his anti-Biden cause among an elite group of business leaders whom he counts as friends, people familiar with the plan said. In April, Musk co-hosted a secret dinner of around a dozen business leaders in Los Angeles. The guests included Peltz, venture capitalist Peter Thiel, former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and media mogul Rupert Murdoch, chairman emeritus of News Corp, which owns the Wall Street Journal, according to people familiar with the matter. The gathering was earlier reported by the news outlet Puck. The group convened at entrepreneur and investor David Sachs's 11,000 square foot modern farmhouse atop the Hollywood Hills. Musk and Sachs worked together years ago on PayPal. The discussion at times centered on how attendees could give money to Trump outside of public view. In February, Trump supporters launched a new super PAC called Right for America to help re-elect the former president. The first major donor to the group was Perlmutter, the former Marvel executive. Sachs is co-hosting a coming fundraiser for Trump in San Francisco. And I saw the information about this other one. It's not just Sachs, it's Chamath Palihapitiya. He and Sachs are the two that are co-hosting it together. They're two of the guys from the All In podcast. And Sachs has been very outspoken on Twitter for a long time now, supportive of Vivek. He was originally like holding fundraisers for DeSantis, but then kind of got disenfranchised with DeSantis, and he's become much more vocally, openly pro-Trump. He had a really good conversation on, what's the name of the podcast? I've only listened to it a couple of times, but it's like a geopolitics and finance and economics podcast with a couple of European guys. I can't remember the name of it.
Wealth, power, and influence.
Yeah, that's the one. I know that random username knows the podcast, so he might get it just from the description I gave. Musk, Peltz, and other Trump backers are planning to continue hosting more salon-style dinners and gatherings across the country, targeting wealthy, powerful people in business. A person familiar.
The Duran?
The Duran, yes, thank you. Yeah, Sachs went on the Duran. So, this is just reinforcing everything that we were talking about before. That there's very clearly a mobilization among the tech and finance elite to. The way they're framing it is kind of like, well, they're opposing Biden. They think Biden's really bad. They're opposing Biden. Well, functionally, that means supporting Trump. But they're like supporting Trump in the way that they're allowed to before it becomes fashionable enough. But I think it's very clear that the trend is moving toward Trump support becoming mainstreamed. This is becoming the new like centrist default position. And I think that was, the idea is more about emphasizing what Musk and Peltz see as Biden's shortcomings than trumpeting Trump himself, this person said. There you go. I would say if I had to, let me stop screen sharing. If I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised if the source on this story was Peter Thiel himself or like an immediate proxy of his, because he's been in contact with some of these with, I think, the New York Times before. He's been identified as someone who is giving stories along these lines. So this is another one of us, another opportunity for us to say, I told you so. we were right. And then regarding Musk, there was a couple of interesting videos that I saw here that I had saved, and I'm trying to find. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong spot. That's probably why I can't find it. So if I come back here, then I got to go up and I'm just seeing all these things I have to do. I save this. I'm like, oh, I need to write something about that. Oh, I need to remember to talk about this. Oh, I remember we need to do an episode about this. Okay, so here's one.
Are we doing schizo stuff now?
No, not quite yet. And I don't know that we might have time to touch on it briefly, but I've got a hard out here coming pretty shortly. Let me share this. Too many windows open. So this is Chamath Palihapitiya. He and David Sachs are two of the four guys on the All In podcast. He's a billionaire Silicon Valley guy. And he is, I don't think he was part of the PayPal mafia, but I think he's has worked with a whole bunch of them, and he's immediately adjacent to them. So Elon tweeted out this video and said, "Thanks, Chamath."
If you're an investor in Tesla, you're 100% comfortable with the way he is a CEO?
Yeah.
None of the actions that he's done over the last year or so give you pause at all?
What do you mean? Meaning the Model 3 is an incredible car. I just bought one. It's incredible. I bought it the way that it was
secured? I mean, what was that?
Okay, maybe he stepped out of bounds. My point is, you're getting caught up in the window dressing. I'm focusing on the main course. The main course is on the table. The choice for you, as a buyer or a seller of that stock, is do you want to eat it? If you get caught up in all of the stuff around the edges, maybe he may mistweet from time to time. My point is, who cares? Your job as a smart investor is to separate the facts and the news from the fiction and the noise. And all of that stuff doesn't matter. It does not change the fact that tens of thousands of consumers are buying that car faster than they can get their hands on it. It doesn't change that the minute you sit inside that car, your definition of what is expected is altered forever. And you wonder why every other car around you that you ever step in, that you may buy, doesn't have the same things that that car offers. So at the end of the day, whether you like his style or not, his substance is irrefutable. If you take a 5-year step back and say, what has he promised in 2014 to what is he doing in 2019, you'd be ecstatic. Similarly, if you take a step back and say from 2019 to 2024, let the man do his job, will we be better or worse off as a planet, as a species, as humanity, as consumers? We will be better off.
If you're an investor.
So the reason I highlighted this is, and it's another one of these PayPal mafia adjacent guys, but there's kind of a trend that's happening here. This was from May of 2019, but there's a swell of support. There's these guys becoming more, even just over the last 5 years, these guys are becoming more and more publicly supportive of pushing guys like Musk and circling the wagons around him. Here's another one. Larry Ellison. And this was actually, no, this one here is November 2015. So this isn't related to what we're talking about here, or it isn't related to immediately right now. But this is sentiment from, because you've got a lot of the general sense of someone like Musk that he's, especially among the libs, that he's incompetent, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's just like, rich kid bumbling his way through life or whatever. And this is the consensus of the guys who know him and interact with him.
Basically the same opinion they have of Trump, that he's just an idiot and he keeps getting lucky.
Right, exactly. He doesn't know how to run a company, he's running Tesla into the ground, yada, yada, yada.
Elon doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to have to go out for money. I'm really smart. I work for the Wall Street Journal. And I said, who are you? This guy's landing rockets. He's landing rockets on robot drone rafts in the ocean. And you're saying he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, who else is landing rocket? You ever land a rocket? Okay, you're telling me he's an idiot. I just want to know who you are so I know. Why should I believe you as opposed to my friend Elon, and we're out here watching this rocket land, which I think is really cool. And you're there in front of your Apple Macintosh and typing up an article saying Elon's an idiot. I had to get that. Elon does.
So this goes to the idea of the sway that Elon holds. As like Elon is now moving into the position of kingmaker. Elon throwing his support behind Trump and campaigning among this circle of people for these people to throw their support behind Trump is not a small thing. So again, I'm fully on the Charles Haywood train of Trump's reelection is inevitable. And you should begin if you're trying to figure out what's coming, you should begin with the premise that Trump is going to be reelected. So I wanted to also show this. I've got two other videos. This one that's
Are these boring? Is
not
this more
super
boring
schizo.
stuff?
No. This one's not super schizo. The next one is a little more.
Okay.
So, what's your opinion of Neuralink?
Well, okay, so there's a couple different ideas I have about it. On one hand, it's like maybe this is kind of a precursor to the Mark of the Beast or something.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable with it at all. On the other hand, there is kind of maybe a philosophical question you can ask wherein, somebody is missing an arm and they get a prosthetic arm. Where do you draw the line? I guess is what I'm saying. Like at some point, like, how do you draw a line without being arbitrary when it comes to any kind of augmentation or prosthesis or anything like that?
Right.
It would be cool. It'd be cool to be able to like just Google shit with my eyeballs or whatever. That'd be kind of neat. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what to think about. I don't have a hard position on it. I am agnostic.
Okay. Real quick,
my gut tells me like, be careful there. That's like
same
Skynet
here.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I want to answer Taylor's question here real quick.
As Matoshki says, why would anyone allow satanic elites to have access to your brain? Yeah, I get it. I hear it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
but
I would say,
cool.
Yeah, I would say they already do.
Yeah, that's true.
Taylor says, Matt, do you think Kevin O'Leary has any connections to this stuff? Not sure if you saw, but he's publicly campaigning to buy TikTok to, quote, democratize it. I think he absolutely is connected with this sort of thing. He's very much an activist billionaire type. And he has been apoplectic about everything happening with Trump's trial and the behavior of the prosecutor in New York. And he's been extremely outspoken about it. And he's very outspoken. I met him at Freedom Fest a few years ago in Vegas. And backstage, he's very approachable. He's very like what you see is what you get. He's not putting on airs really when he is in these interviews. He's very authentically himself.
Josh Ham says, as a dude with brain damage, I'm very interested in Neuralink. Could I actually get medical intervention that get my IQ back to prevent more degradation over time, to stop Alzheimer's from taking me, etc.? Like, that's a fair question to ask as well. Like, okay, what if Neuralink can actually, there's been a lot of things, a lot of claims made, but what if it can actually heal things like paralysis or undo neurodegenerative diseases? Like, is that not a good thing?
Well, on that note, check this out.
So what can you show us that as a demonstration of what you can now do?
Here we go. This is the Link app. This is how I control everything. This is the app that they've uploaded onto my computer that lets me control the cursor. This is my devotional that I've been reading all the time, every day. And then this is me playing chess.
So wait a minute. You're moving the cursor. You're moving the cursor, Nolan, just by thinking about where you want it to go, or is it your eyes?
No, it's just me thinking about wherever I want it to go.
Oh, man. So
Yeah,
you're not
so-
even tracing it with your eyes. You're just looking at it.
Nope, I can move it, and I can move the cursor around, whatever I would like to do. I don't have to be staring at it at all. I mean, it's amazing. There's not even words to describe. Yeah, there's not even words to describe how amazing this tech is.
So what can
So this is a guy that is completely paralyzed from the neck down. He was the first guy to get the implant, and this is one demonstration of it. There's other stuff that he's shown that he can live a relatively normal life, even being paralyzed. I don't know. My mind is not made up one way or the other, but like Josh Ham says, where does one draw the line between braces and Neuralink? Between
the
penicillin and Neuralink.
The two women in the chat are screeching, so maybe we should listen to them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess it is important to listen to women when they screech, right?
Right.
Even if so say he is totally an actor. Just go take the entire nothing is real, everything's all fake. We can't believe anything. We'll indulge the fantasy for a little bit. He even if he is fake, the premise is not. If he's not actually doing it, there's not a I find it completely believable that this is entirely within the realm of the capacity of humanity to be able to do something like that. I don't find it if he personally is going to stand up out of this chair and walk around like Stephen Hawking when he doesn't have a camera on him, then that doesn't change the fact that this sort of technology, that the capacity for this sort of technology exists. And I understand the impulse of being like, this is demonic, get it away, have nothing to do with it. But then I'm like, okay, so now I'm drawing that line here because this is the thing I find uncomfortable. This is the thing that is disturbing to me. But what about a pacemaker? I don't see you guys freaking out about people getting pacemakers. But what's different? Why is something like this take on a different character? Is it just a little too on the nose? I don't see any dividing line between this and that isn't completely arbitrary. So I don't have an opinion on it. I'm probably more undecided on it now than I was before. This isn't the first video I've seen of this guy either. So if he's an actor, he's well employed, and they're really going through the paces with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand the apprehension. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I share the apprehension. But on the other hand, there is that question. Like, okay, where do you draw the line?
Mm-hmm.
And why are you drawing that line? What's what?
And what does it mean to draw a line?
Right, and Natasha says it's scary that we're on the fence. No, but seriously, question. I understand discernment. That's important. But where do you draw the line, and what is your reasoning for drawing the line? Is it just like some form of Ludditism, or it's just like this is the line where we're the neo-Amish or whatever, because this is spooky and scary, and we don't want to touch that. Don't you think, I don't know, 100, 200 years ago, whatever, with the advent of electricity and being able to communicate across the world through wires and shit, don't you think there was people who were probably like, that's demonic?
Mm-hmm.
Are we just doing the same thing, or is there something here that is fundamentally, essentially different?
Or even make it even more rudimentary. Writing.
Is technology inherently demonic? I would say no.
I'd agree. So then the question becomes, what's the proper relationship to it?
Okay, the controlling your brain thing, that's a fair point.
But then we are literally communicating with each other right now on some of the most sophisticated brain controlling technologies of all time. The advent of a screen is brain control on this, on the spiritual level. And are we just hypocrites? Are we engaging in a performative contradiction here? If we draw the line, I was going to say with books, before the first guy wrote something on a page, Imagine how like the other guy saw it. He was like, dude, look, I put these symbols on, or it was more like I carved these symbols into this rock. This rock has meaning now. Look at the meaning. And the other guy's like, dude, what happened to you? You've lost your mind.
Yeah, you loon.
Yeah, rocks don't have meaning. Oh, this one does. This one, I put the special shapes on it. It has meaning now. I can give this idea to you. The human beings can't act. We don't act or exist in the world without the use of technology. So then the question is, where along this threshold of technology do you draw the line?
Yeah, what's the guiding principle? That says, okay, all the technology we have, this portal of, I don't know,
doom,
propaganda, and doom, propaganda, pornography, and whatever else. This is fine. But then the next thing, no.
Right.
Why are we drawing the line? Like I said, I agree with the apprehension, and I'm on the same page there. But we're doing a thought experiment here.
Mm-hmm. And Natashki says, comparing books to having your brain literally by controlled tech. Yikes. I have like a visceral response to when people type yikes, but I have to give her a break because it's a woman. So, if a guy types yikes, then I'm not gonna give him the same break. I think what really my issue with this,
we're just pissing off the chat now.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a woman. Like, remember what we were talking about the other day with women, that women are allowed to be cringe. It's not possible.
True.
It's not possible for a woman to actually be cringe because it's her responsibility. It's only cringe if a guy does it. Having your brain controlled, this is the thing, is you don't need to have a device installed into your brain to have your brain controlled.
Right.
This is, and we may be kind of starting to venture off into the schizo land, but I'm coming to believe this even more, that you don't have to be touching someone or in contact with them to be able to control their brain. It can be done remotely without a device. That maybe you say the device is formalizing it, but this is going to have to be a whole stream in itself, talking about technology and its role with human cycles and all that sort of thing. Which is what segues us into the last subject here, and then I'm going to have to run. So
why?
Elon Musk.
Where are you going? What do you got going on? Don't lie.
I've got things I have to do.
I'm sure.
So open-minded approach on Twitter says, post this video. So we'll watch the video first because he's referencing it.
Earth's climate also changes pretty radically over the course of, say, 10,000 years. It can shift from being extremely hot to extremely cold and turn into a snowball.
Of ice ages, right?
Yeah. You can really go down a deep rabbit hole if you read about ice ages.
So interesting.
That how much Earth's climate has changed, and even where the magnetically where the poles are has shifted over time. Well, we're technically in
one of us.
Sort of an ice age right now, although it depends on what you call an ice age.
What happened to global warming?
Wait, but how so? What defines an ice age at that point?
Global warming's not cool anymore.
It's a deep rabbit hole. I think there was probably something significant that happened at the in the last ice age, because we don't see any evidence of writing. When I say I'm using ice age in the colloquial term, of when was it very snowy, and where the glaciers came down far, and where summer was short and winter was very long, and that was about 10,000 years ago. So something happened around that ice age, that because we see no writing. No writing before that ice age, and we start to see writing pop up in multiple places on Earth after the most recent colloquially termed ice age.
We don't know, but there's likely to be another dark ages, which my guess is there probably will be at some point, particularly if there's a third world war. Then we want to make sure that there's enough of a seed of human civilization somewhere else to bring civilization back and perhaps shorten the length of the dark ages. I think that's why it's important to get a self-sustaining base, ideally on Mars, because Mars is far enough away from Earth that a war on Earth, the Mars base, might survive. It's more likely to survive than a moon base. But I think a moon base and a Mars base that could perhaps help regenerate life back here on Earth would be really important, and to get that done before a possible World War III. You know, last century we had 2 massive world wars, 3 if you count the Cold War. I think it's unlikely that we'll never have another World War again. There probably will be at some point.
Or if we have another one, it'll be the last.
Yeah, it just could be radioactive rubble. Well, if you say given enough time, will it be? Most likely. This has been our pattern in the past.
Okay, I dispute a few of his premises. One, that there was a dark age, and 2, that even if nukes were dropped, it'd be just like a radiated wasteland for centuries. That's bullshit.
Yes, it is. I am increasingly inclined to believe that Elon knows far more than he's letting on. And to some degree with some of this stuff, I think he's probably playing ball because, you know, essentially kind of saying and doing the things that are necessary to achieve a certain end. And I don't know exactly what that end is. I don't know exactly what he thinks or believes, but I'll say it this way. I'm to the point now where I'm questioning whether this is gonna just absolutely torch my credibility with so many people, and I can't wait. I'm to the point where I'm beginning to question whether Mars and the moon are actually physical structures. They're actually like physical things that we could go land on, and they're not sonoluminescent phenomenon.
So do you think Elon knows that the world is flat or something?
Or something.
If the world is flat, he knows it.
Yes. And I do think that there's some very interesting symbolism to the idea of Mars becoming this like archetypal destination. Because what is Mars historically, mythologically? It's
war.
It's war,
like the god of war.
Yeah. So you could almost think if Elon's the type of guy to do something like this, you could almost say that we're going to Mars is in a sense a way of saying we're going to war. And we're building up all of this technology to go to Mars.
Talk about your theory about how the Great Pyramids were the Tower of Babel pre-flood. And then they punched a hole through the firmament because they're a giant energy generator, and it flooded the Earth. That's a fun theory.
So that is what's going to have to be the schizo stream we do, is discussing all of these assorted things. Because remember what we were talking about earlier. I'll give you guys the thing I teased earlier.
According to Slowboy, Elon himself said, "By going to Mars means going to war."
Interesting. If you have a clip of that, Slowboy, then post it in the Discord. I'd really like to see that, or a clip, or if it's written or whatever. I'd be very interested to see that. Yeah, moon and planets are not physical. I'm very much moving in that direction where I believe that it's not physical. And we will get into in our future schizo stream. We'll get into some of the reasons why I think that is. So the thing that
what about the
you
moon
earlier,
landing, Matt? Isn't the moon landing totally true? And we definitely did that.
Oh yeah, definitely was not Cold War propaganda. They actually took this little shack made out of aluminum foil, and they flew it up onto the moon. They landed on it, and then they just called the White House on the phone, and they were like, "Hey, we did it. We're here." And they talked back and forth immediately with no delay at all, even though it's however many thousands of miles.
Yeah, you could even watch it on TV.
Yeah, right, man. It was incredible. So the thing I texted about earlier that I teased you guys with was. You've seen all of these things recently with like the solar flares, and you've got Ben Davidson with Suspicious Observers, and he has this thing about the pole shift, and that essentially at some point he's guessing sometime between like 2030 and 2050 there's going to be a major solar event that causes I think he calls it the kill shot, that knocks out all the electric grid and everything like that. And it's going to be associated with the pole shift, which might have Earth crust displacement and have major, catastrophic disasters, Randall Carlson type shit. The thought that I had earlier, because we were talking about the idea of the pyramid being being like a resonance chamber, somehow being able to access the upward flow of electrons from like rock being compressed under massive pressure deep down in the earth, and it being able to like access that, and the pyramid being sort of like a power generator. So the thought that I had was, what if the pyramids actually did double duty, where they were for accessing like electromagnetic energy coming up from the Earth's crust and also coming down from the sky? So what if there was, so remember how there was this, the theory was that you could actually dissipate the tectonic plate buildup of pressure by applying like vibrations in the right ways and the right frequencies and stuff. You could sort of dissipate that and prevent earthquakes from ever happening in the first place. So in the same way, I wonder if these sorts of structures, or even if you could build a structure like a Tesla style structure that would actually absorb some sort of if there was some major cosmic energy blast from the sun or whatever, I wonder if having all of these different structures, if part of the goal was to try to absorb that energy into the structure itself, rather than having it like somehow you're basically creating a path of least resistance for this whatever solar blast. And you could, with the construction of things like this, you could actually mitigate the damage. Instead of it just blasting the entire planet, you could focus it and channel it into something. Now, you would have to be able to somehow estimate like what it was going to be and have it not completely overload your circuits, because it seems like that may have been something that happened with the pyramids before. That you have the 3 pyramids of Giza, and then you have another plateau that's higher up, 8 kilometers away, that has 2 more pyramids that seemed like they were connected there. There was some sort of a relationship between them that has to do with like musical harmonic scales, and it relates to like the chakras and the Vitruvian Man, all this sort of stuff. We'll get into this in a schizo stream sometime. But it looks like those pyramids, the 2 pyramids up on the hill, one of which is on the back of the dollar bill, they exploded. There's just the rocks. It's this massive granite block construction. These blocks are just like sprayed out in all directions. Something caused it to explode. And if they were using the pyramid whole apparatus as an energy generator of some type, and there was something caused it to overload their circuits, and it looks like, according to Chris Dunn, the guy who first theorized that the Pyramid of Giza was a power plant, he said it looks like there was a hydrogen explosion inside the pyramid. So you might get that in reverse. Like if you're trying to use this as like a solar lightning rod or something like that, then it might overload the circuits anyways. But that was the brainwave that I had.
Do you think that the pyramids are pre-flood?
I don't know. I think they probably are. Yeah, I think they probably are.
Do you know how I was initiated into the world of conspiracies by my stepdad when I was like 9 years old or something like that? Because my stepdad, he's not like a conspiracy guy, but there's one conspiracy that he subscribes to, and that's the idea that the moon landing was fake. And the reasoning being is because he was a contractor for decades, and one of the guys that he worked for was a radiologist, and the radiologist is like, dude, if the amount of radiation is true that they say is out there in space or whatever, and the idea that you have these astronauts wearing like marshmallow suits or whatever, you would need like 3 feet of lead to prevent yourself from dying. That's bullshit.
Yeah, they were just like wearing their little suits.
Yeah, and they were fine. He's like, bullshit. And so my stepdad from that point on was like, yeah, the moon landing is bullshit. And that was that was my first
a boomer
encounter.
Who doesn't believe in the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. They
I mean, he believes almost everything else, like they're our greatest ally and yada 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 yada. But I'll give him credit for that one. But lately, in his later years, he's starting to become more of a prepper, getting a little more paranoid, getting guns and stuff. So he's on the right track.
Good. You gotta keep pushing him. Yeah. You guys, we've given you a little taste of some of the stuff. Euthanasia in here said, that's some of why the Great Pyramid is basically an exact mathematical model of Earth. It's not just that. It is that, and it's so much more than that as well. this is a very fascinating rabbit hole that I've dabbled in before, and I've recently dove back into again. That you've got the Randall Carlson stuff. You've got there's some other very interesting things that have really begun reframing the way that I see the world around me. So we'll share some of that with you guys in the future. What?
What's your take on the age of the Earth? What do you think?
Not the foggiest idea.
Yeah,
I grew up like a devout young Earth creationist, like 6,000 years old, and I don't believe it's millions or billions of years.
Right, millions but I also, and billions, gazillion years seems retarded to me, but 6,000, that doesn't feel right either.
Yeah, I don't. It just there seems to be too much that goes against that. But I mean, I find it like there's the debate over whether Adam was created as an embryo or as like an adult. And there's no reason why Adam couldn't have been created as an adult, and why the universe couldn't have been created as a 13.8 billion year old universe. You know, like it.
Yeah, right.
So ultimately, I don't really care what the ultimate age is, but what I do find very interesting is it seems very, very clear that there was an ancient civilization that predated our modern understanding of when humans really began in terms of like modern humans within the last 10,000 years or whatever. At least 10,000 years ago, there was a human civilization that was capable that generated technology as sophisticated or more sophisticated than anything we have now. That's abundantly, obviously evident. Anyone who doesn't believe that is a rube. Okay, I got to bounce here. I got something I got to get done by 6:30. But very last thing before we go, I'll just drop this for you guys. Check this out.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Should the U.S. be a monarchy? Curtis Yarvin makes the case on Andrew Klavan's show.
Dude, I remember just a couple years ago when like Curtis Yarvin, Mold Book, mentions NRX. This was all like esoteric and like, you know, you didn't talk about this in polite society. This was all really edgy shit, and now it's so like mundane.
Now it's mainstream, which is why we need to start talking about like flat Earth and stuff.
Right? Yeah.
We can't be mainstream yet. All right, thank you guys. I want to highlight something purely self-interested here that Taylor Brown said. He said, "For more rabbit holes and friends we have made along the way, join the King Pill Discord." You could join the King Pill Discord if you go to kingpill.com and sign up. We'd love to have you in there. Probably half the people in the chat are from the Discord, so come join us and continue this conversation.
The schizo stream. So we got to talk about like the pyramids, and we got to talk about like the ether and all that stuff. But can we also talk about like the weird
vortexes? Yeah,
can we talk about like the cryptids and shit out in the woods?
Oh yeah, like the what's the guy with the fucking antlers? Wendigo.
Like you got the meat guy who makes sounds, like mimic sounds. And...
Oh yeah, we'll have to. We need to do one of these like late night, like do a late night schizo stream and just go for like 4 or 5 hours. That would be a lot of fun. I know I'm signing you up for something intolerable, something unconscionable. Kyle says he wants to be on the schizo stream. Can we allow that?
I'm okay with that.
All right,
because he's one of our fellow businessmen.
Yes, that's right.
We all own a company together.
Maybe
we'll get Xavier to come on too. We'll,
I don't know.
We'll drink some.
Do you know if the people can handle that? Yeah.
We'll drink some whiskey and talk about schizo stuff.
All right, I gotta run.
Yeah, I'll put my red light bulb in.
Do us a favor and like the stream, share the stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, turn the little notification bell on so you know when we go live. Follow me on Twitter at RealKingPilled. Go join the King Pill Discord at kingpill.com. How many more times can I say Kingpilled? Kingpilled, 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 Kingpilled. Thank you guys. Appreciate you being